Shweta, just take us to what you're reading of the tea leaves of the arguments right now. It doesn't seem to look good for TikTok.
I agree. First of all, thanks for having me. I actually listened to part of the argument this morning, and I know it's far from over, but my understanding from, and I don't do a lot of these Supreme Court argument hearings either, but I guess my understanding is that the TikTok lawyer did not come off convincing enough for the justices, and not only around free speech, but also around the privacy and security, national security of U.S. citizens. So with that, why is we are already seeing stock reactions as it relates to the internet names. Snap is up, as is Meta, and as is Google. Based on our research, we think that there is an 8 to 10% upside to Meta's earnings per share. That's
Wow.
quite meaningful because we think that over 50% of the time spent can actually be going to Meta Reels as the #1 beneficiary. For YouTube Shorts, we think that about 30 to 40% of the time spent on TikTok today could go to YouTube Short. And we think that there is about 5 to 8% upside to YouTube's revenue. And then for Snap, part of the reason why it's trading up so much is because of the volatility around how much benefit Snap could have on a smaller base. And we think that it could be about 5 to 10% of its revenue, even if only 10 to 15% of the time spent today on TikTok goes to Snapchat.
Wow. And of course, eyeballs and focus of a consumer means more advertising revenue. Ultimately, is that also how it's apportioned? Meta gets the bulk of the advertising revenue that currently is sent towards TikTok's direction, and then it's apportioned to YouTube and then Snap as well?
That's exactly right. And what we are actually hearing from advertisers right now is that the budgets have actually not yet migrated, even with the upcoming risk of TikTok being banned. I think the advertisers want to see the ban being implemented and then transition the ad dollars. In part, with Snap, there will be integrations required for those advertisers who have not integrated with Snapchat just yet. But what we're also hearing is that that work has already begun.
Shweta, that's so interesting because if marketers aren't changing yet, the reason is because there was 170 million US users of TikTok who really like the product. And from that perspective, do you think that actually it does just overnight go away? Have you thought through the action of if indeed it is banned, what technically happens? And if we see users migrate, how long that takes?
Oh, I believe that it will be a moderately fast leak. I don't think it will be overnight that the advertising budgets will be shut down, in part because there will be still some TikTok users in United States. I mean, users won't be able to download them, and service providers will say that we are not going to be supporting TikTok, but there will still be millions of users and eyeballs on TikTok platform, and the technological integrations of ad dollars going away from TikTok into Meta may not all happen overnight, as advertisers still try and figure out how they want to shift their budgets and what kind of targeting they want to do. So it will be a slow leak. My guess is that it'll probably take about a quarter or two before most of the budgets will move.
Shweta, at the start of the show, we had Frank McCourt Jr. join of Project Liberty. He, as far as he's aware, has made the only bid for US TikTok, asking ByteDance ultimately to sell, which they promised thus far not to do. But have you thought through the likelihood of ByteDance selling TikTok?
Based on the arguments this morning, it did not sound like that would be a very high likelihood outcome, whether that was even a possibility in a 90-day window or even in a 180-day window. So I would be very surprised. I would put it in a low probability scenario where that actually happens. I'm not sure if they actually want that to happen. If we're speculating, so to speak, on who the buyer could be, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Elon Musk makes a bid. He already has Twitter, and he has the resources to do so too. But I just don't think that that will be a high likelihood scenario that they actually sell the asset.
Amazon has been another name that's been thrown out that would benefit by purchasing TikTok, for example. So the next steps, from your perspective, how do you start to judge the day reactions of these companies, followed by the, as you say, potential, what did you mention for Meta, up to like 8 to 10% upside in terms of revenue? How long a path for this share price reaction to last, do you think?
I think it'll be sustained. Today's hearing will be whether the Supreme Court tells us their decision today or not. The way it goes will be very telling in terms of the likelihood of the outcome, because it seems like it will be binary, whether TikTok is banned or Supreme Court is going to bring it as a hearing to see what happens. If TikTok is expected to ban, then the rally actually stays, and there will be a lot more interest from investors on Meta. And in fact, the potential overhang on these stocks, on Meta and Snap, on the uncertainty of whether TikTok will be banned or not, will be lifted. So that in part will also be a relief.